Every single year I walk into my fantasy drafts, I always have a list of players that I just will not draft no matter how much they fall to me, no matter how late they go. These are players that I think are just going to end up being dead weight by the end of the season. And the first guy on this list is Joe Mixon, man. So Joe Mixon is currently going as RB 15. Despite the fact that he had a lot of great opportunity and volume last year, his efficiency, bro, has been an absolute free fall since he was with the Bengals. So he was 22nd in explosive run rate, 38th in missed tackles forced per attempt, and he was 29th in yards after the catch per attempt. So he was just very inefficient as a running back, despite the fact he kept getting volume. This team was really just feeding him despite his inefficiency. In my opinion, he's more of an RB3, kind of RB2 with a little bit of upside, but I think his risk just far outweighs that upside he might have. At his cost, you can get a guy like Rashee Rice or Marvin Harrison Jr., or if you want to go with a running back, you can go with Chuba Hubbard, who I think is going to be a workhorse with a lot more upside on an ascending offense. And if you want to take one of those onesie positions, George Kittle's still going to be there on the board. And the next player on this list is going to be Javonte Williams. RB38, listen, I know he's a value to a lot of people. He's on a team where there's not a lot of talent, right? He's going to be competing with like blacksmiths and like freelance DJs at the RB position. So I get it. I get that Javonte could be an intriguing option. But let me just list a couple of stats for you guys. So he was 32nd in yards per carry, 35th in yards over expected per carry. He was 35th in yards after contact per carry, 29th in tackles avoided per carry, 26th in explosive rush rate. I mean, it just gets worse, right? 36th in PFF grade. So Javonte Williams, despite the fact that he was getting a lot of volume, he had like 70 targets last season, really did nothing with them. He still only averaged like 8 fantasy points per game. So I know he was coming off an injury. I know what you guys might say, like he was injured. You know, he just was trying to get acclimated, trying to get back up to speed. But I'm sorry, man. A dude who just since he was a rookie has really just been on the decline, got injured a couple of times. I'm just off of him fully. I think that even if they use him early in the season, I do imagine that they look toward other players. Like even Miles Sanders or Alfred Blue are going to end up getting a lot more work. I just don't care anymore about him, about Javonte Williams. I'm fully off him. I don't mind being wrong, right? Let's say he ends up being pretty usable. I mean, what's his ceiling? Maybe like an RB3 in fantasy. At his cost, you can get a guy like Tajay Spears, who the coaching staff said they want to see a healthier division of labor between him and Tony Pollard, right? Or you can go for Cam Scatabo, who the Giants just drafted in the 4th round. He's kind of like your prototypical workhorse back, although he's going to be sharing the field with Tracy, don't get me wrong. Or if you want a little bit more PPR upside, you can go with a guy like Rachaad White, who was honestly kind of a cheat code. He was RB 18 in fantasy after week 10 when Irving became the workhorse. So Rachaad White was still very much usable. And now we move on to Travis Etienne, who's currently going RB 35. Now, Travis Etienne, man, what a fall from grace. Dude was like a 2nd round pick last season, and he finished as the RB 37 in points per game in 2024. So he really struggled. He had 14 touches, 57 total yards per game. And that was after week 9. And honestly, Tank Bigsby really kind of just outplayed him most of the games. Now, Tank Bigsby was just dealing with his own injuries. I think that's why he didn't fully take over the backfield. And he was ranked outside the top 30 in a lot of key tackle breaking metrics, one of which was an 8% missed tackle rate, which is really low for ETN, right? So we just don't know why. He didn't look like himself. There were a few plays where I really just saw him like quit. Like he wouldn't get the ball or he got tackled like behind the line of scrimmage and he just like got up and like walked off the field. Just it wasn't a good look for Travis Etienne. He's honestly going to be in a full blown committee. I think it's going to be Bigsby, it's going to be Bashal Tootin, and it's going to be Travis Etienne. Now here's the thing about Bashal Tootin. This coaching staff was really targeting him in the draft. Liam Cohen, who's the new head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who comes from the Buccaneers, who made Bucky Irving a thing, compared Bashal Tootin to Bucky Irving. So I can imagine Travis Etienne kind of being faded out of this team's plans. Honestly, instead of Travis Etienne, you can take Tank Bigsby just a couple of picks later, who honestly was more of a traditional between the tackles type running back. If Tootin is that like pass catching back, that leaves the between the tackles work to, I think, Tank Bigsby. So, or, you know, if you don't want to take someone from Jacksonville, if you're worried about that committee, you can go with Zach Charbonnet, man. A couple picks later, he was a top 5 running back in the games that Kenneth Walker didn't play. The dude had like 40 fantasy points in one game alone. Not only is he one of the best handcuffs in fantasy football, he has a lot of standalone value. I do think they end up using him a little bit more moving forward. And now let's move on to the last player in this list. It's David Montgomery. He's currently going RB21. Now listen, I love me some David Montgomery. In real life, He's got the grit. He's got the culture. He's the perfect type of Detroit Lion player. But I do not like him in fantasy football moving forward, right? I know he was great last season before he got injured, but Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute game-changing talent. The man needs his touches. He needs more of them because every touch he gets yields positive outcomes for them. I know it does for David Montgomery too, but it's a new coaching staff. And when I say that, when Monty was out in week 16 to 18, Gibbs obviously took over the backfield. He was averaging 30 fantasy points per game, brother. I mean, I think the Lions will continue using David Montgomery. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to phase him out fully. He's just, they're going to keep using him for the culture, as I mentioned, dude. He's just such a good, between the tackles, bruising running back. I'm just a little bit concerned. Here's where my concern is. Here's why I won't be drafting him. Obviously, you have Jahmyr Gibbs. I think they're going to give him more work. But the number two reason, the new offensive coordinator, John Morton, has a huge tendency to prefer like a passing attack. He's not like a let's establish the run type of offensive coordinator. Now, I do think they're going to integrate the head coach's style, which is to kind of like run it up the gut, bite your fucking ankles. But I do think this offensive coordinator, who just gave Javonte Williams 70 fucking targets, who was bad, right? Like they stuck with Javonte Williams over in Denver, even though he was bad, and it still wasn't a committee. So I do think they're going to lean on Gibbs. I do think they're going to make him the main guy here, which means it's going to come at the expense of David Montgomery, unfortunately. So, I mean, just how do you not give more touches to Gibbs, right? He's just so incredibly good. And in this range, you can go for a guy like Trevion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins or Caleb Johnson. Those are three rookie running backs who have a lot more upside, bro. We know we want to be targeting rookie running backs, man. We know what they do at the end of the season. We know they could be studs even at the beginning of the season. There's just a lot more upside there. I think David Montgomery is going to have a declining season where he starts off strong out of the gate. But I do imagine as a 28-year-old running back, they start to move toward Jahmyr Gibbs even more. While these other three running backs I just listed are going to have the inverse of that. They're just going to continue to get better as the season goes on. That does it for the video, boys. Those are 4 running backs I will not be drafting, no matter what, even if there's a fire. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you liked it. If you did, hit your boy up with a subscribe and a like, and get that bell if you do want to catch more of these videos. We're going to be pumping out content the rest of the offseason. I'm going to be updating my rankings as well through the offseason up until the end of the season. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.